required cities to allow beekeeping as of July 1st, so we don't have parameters in place. We are still gathering suggestions on what that looks like so that we can all be respectful of neighbors. And Benjamin had some comments and concerns that he wanted to come share with all of you.
Great. Benjamin, would you state your name and where you're from?
Benjamin Ott. I live at 225 South State Street, so right down the road, across from the police department. The reason I'd like to come in today is because Greenfield had a ban for beekeeping previously, and with the new Senate Enrolled Act 529, cities can't prohibit or ban beekeeping on houses or on properties owned, leased, or rented. And I understand you need to make an ordinance about the said act. What I'm asking is that as a beekeeper living in the city at a very small property with neighbors really close, is that bees are not aggressive, basically, unless you're going to, try to, get the honey out of the hive or approach them, then they're going to get a little aggravated. But from where my neighbors are at, it shouldn't be any issue for them if they have any concerns. And if someone is afraid of bees, well, why are they afraid of bees? Because it's got a stinger? 1/3 of the food that we eat is pollinated by bees. They make honey, they make nectar, they're smart. They work all through the summer and sleep through the winter, okay? There's 5 things that bees produce. Pollen, honey, beeswax, propolis, and royal jelly. Okay, pollen is one of the richest and purest natural foods, consisting of 35% protein and 10% sugars, carbohydrates, enzymes, minerals, vitamins A, B1, B2, B3, B5, C, H, and R. Honey is used by the bees for food all year round. There's many types of honey, colors, everything else like that. Beeswax is used by humans in drugs and cosmetics. And then propolis is collected by honeybees from trees. The sticky resin is mixed with wax to make a sticky glue, which helps the hive survive through the harsh winters, because let's admit, last year, the winter was pretty rough. And then royal jelly. This is is used by some as a dietary supplement, and it is loaded with all of the B vitamins. Okay, so wouldn't we want this in our city instead of pushing it away? Additionally, honeybees are not native to the U.S. They are European in origin and were brought to North America by the early settlers. Honeybees represent a highly organized society with various bees having specific roles in their life. Nurse bees, drones, queens, worker bees, and I like to call them the reaper bees, because when a bee dies in the hive, these reaper bees come out and haul them out. Okay, so there's roles for all kinds of bees. Additionally, I think that we should allow this to happen, because there is a thing going around called colony collapse disorder, where millions of bees are disappearing and dying off, and we don't know why. It could be because of the sprays. It could be because it could be too hot, the winter's too cold. But the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations has not accepted any of those as a reason for colony collapse. And then some interesting facts about bees is honeybees must gather nectar from 2 million flowers to make 1 pound of honey. One bee has to fly about 90,000 miles, 3 times around the globe, to make 1 pound of honey. The average bee will make 1/12 a teaspoon of honey in its lifetime. Worker bees only live about 5 to 6 weeks. Queens can live upwards to about 5 years. Honeybees communicate with dancing. They dance on the hive so other bees know how the hive operates. The natural fruit and fruit sugars in honey, fructose and glucose, are quickly digested by the body. This is why sportsmen and athletes using honey to give them natural energy boost. So again, isn't this something that we want to bring into a city and have people excited for? When you consider this, when you make your ordinance, keep in mind that there are people in the city that do have small properties, but bees are not aggressive. Bees will fly about 3 feet out in front of the hive and fly to about 20 feet in elevation. That's where they look. So if anyone is worried about, well, will these bees come out and attack me? No, they're not aggressive. They're going to fly 3 feet out of the hive and look for food. That is their only job, is to pollinate flowers and fruits and other crops. Farmers even sometimes rent bees to pollinate their crops. And since Greenfield is an agricultural city and county, Hancock County, again, don't we want to have people excited for this? Okay. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you for your time.
Well, just to relax you a little bit too, we did have an ordinance and it did prohibit it, but the Senate in the state of Indiana saw fit that we probably weren't the only ones that had it, or that we probably did it with just one person having that type of ordinance, and they seen that as a problem. So they passed Senate Bill 529, and we certainly are going to adhere to it. When we do write it, Mr. Morlock is working on that diligently as we speak, we want to make sure we cover all the bases, that we protect what you have and also protect your neighbors with what they say, and also protect what we have to do to rid ourselves of other pests that sometimes reside in cities. And when we have those, we have to perform certain acts, and we don't want to endanger what your colonies or whatever you might address them. I'm not a beekeeper, to endanger them. So we have to work out parameters of how we're going to look at that and try to make this all work as one unit. And that's our goal. We're certainly going to follow the state law, but we're going to do it right. So it seems like we have to work a little harder to get that ordinance in effect. Mr. Morlock contacted several other city municipalities to try to gain more knowledge. So if you have some facts on that, or you have ideas, put them in writing and address them to Mr. Morlock to get them so we can...
We've exchanged emails, so we'll be
so we can look at what you have, because we have several people who are injecting these thoughts, and we'll take a combination of it to make it work.
Right.
That's our goal.
That's all I can ask.
That's all I
can ask.
I listened to what you'd actually said. It cannot be denied any homeowner or whatever. Do you have many rentals that actually keep bees on to move them around? How's that work with them if they're in a rental or a leased property or whatever? I mean,
what that'll happen, what that essentially means is these farmers will track down a beekeeper and they say, hey, can I rent some hives from you? And if they approve and say, yeah, that's fine, what they'll do is they'll transport that hive to that field or that area where they want pollinated. And then those bees will pollinate the field, make honey, and then the farmers are getting better and more luscious crops.
so what makes a hive swarm? What makes that happen?
Swarming happens when there becomes too many bees in the hive. That's why we need to continually add supers on there so they don't swarm. But what happens is the worker bees will make a cell called a queen cell, and they feed that larva with royal jelly, making it a queen. And when that's ready to hatch, the current queen will fly away with half of the hive, and then the new one will take over the hive along with the other remaining worker bees.
Cool.
If I might add to that, Councilman McDaniel, so in the spring, I had one hive that looked a little antsy. They'll go out and they'll start flying around, a lot of them, and then they'll go back in the hive. And as he mentioned, you can just split those two boxes. As long as they both have fresh eggs, whichever one doesn't get a queen, they'll make a new queen, and now you just have two hives instead of one.
Cool.
Multiplies your own stock.
And it does take work.
You can, yeah, if you get ahead of it, you can avoid swarms by not letting them get queen cells where there's a strong queen and that kind of thing.
Well, I appreciate it, Mr. Potts, because we have had a lot of interest generated, and we're going to continue in the right way.
I appreciate it. That's all I can ask.
Benjamin, thanks for coming in to share with the others what you called me with by phone.
Thank you for your time.
You have something?
No, I just,
Okay.
we've
Okay,
discussed before
good.
the
Just want
meeting,
to make
so
sure
we'll stay in
that the
touch.
information gets exchanged.
Yes.
Good, thank you. Petitions and comments from the citizens. I